Gosh, this is so tough. I, Arr! We can't negate somebody's problem. Disregard it. Let it go. Oh my gosh, really? That's their problem? I just got off the phone with a friend of mine, and I was asking him about some guys that, we're in a group together, and we all chit-chat, and everybody's talking about, hey, can you pray with me for this? I've got this going on or that going on. And some of you would look at each other and go, really, that's your problem? Well, my problem's a big deal because it's my problem. Your problem is a big deal, again, because it's your problem. Why is it such a big problem? Because it's mine. Because it's causing me to have a little bit of chaos in my brain. Anxiety, worry, fear, and then a little bit of doubt. And when we have those things, we put God on the back burner because I have to figure it out. Versus, use me right now. I always ask God in the morning when I chit-chat, I want to put a smile on your face. But you know what? Show off. And if you want to use me when you do it, I'm here. Use me. I think it's a cool way to live your life. And again, my problem is a big deal. And you can't fix it. Maybe you can help facilitate it, and then I am in the process of doing that. That's what coaches do, or mentors, or or pastors. And people give you some sort of guidance. And they go, wow, I never thought of it that way. So who's in your circle? Who is it? Who is in your circle to where you have a go-to? I call them 3 a.m. people. People you can call at 3 in the morning and like, dude, I need some help right now. And they're like, why? What's wrong? Nope, wrong person. Somebody has to needs a qualifier. Somebody has to, no, is it really that big deal? Oh my gosh, we'll fix it tomorrow. Versus, I need you. Those 3 a.m. people respond like this. Hey man, I'm in a pickle. I need you right now. Cool, where you at? I'm on my way. What else do you need me to bring? Who do you need me to call? They don't need qualifiers. They're there for you. And that's why, again, with that circle of influence that you have, who's pushing you? Who's making you very uncomfortable? I have invited a handful of friends of mine, male and female, that have really given them full permission to call me out on certain things. Because, again, I am far from perfect. Oh my gosh. I can go on forever about all the goofy things that make up me. But I want to stay on fire. I want to get excited. I want to be on purpose. So when I take care of me, I can take care of others. And that circle of people push you, make you uncomfortable. And without any pain of being pushed, or without any uncomfortableness, if you will, then you're always going to, just kind of flatline, be static. Because your body and your mind, your life, your wallet, everything in your life is either growing or it's dying. True story. Very true story. And if you know me, I use that phrase true story because I want truth in my life. I want somebody to push me, to make me think like, oh my gosh, am I really doing that? Am I really that person? Did I really say that? I remember a pastor told me once, Eddie, never tell somebody something you want them to forget in 5 minutes. I love that. And now I'm just going, why did I say that to that person? Or was that the right person to invite in my circle? How many of those people do you talk to who says, I need to talk to you about something? Do you have a minute? Sure, yeah, what do you got? And then they get off the phone and call so-and-so and go, did you hear about so-and-so? And start gossiping about you versus really having compassion, really having a prayer with you, really wanting the best for you. And if we don't do that for each other, then we find ourselves going to social media, looking for approval from people that we don't know, and that's very, very toxic because they're looking at your problem through their own lens versus seeing where you're at and then allowing people in. Allowing those right people in, where God shows up by bringing certain people in your life like, holy cow, I don't know how this happened, but it happened. I don't know how it worked, but it worked. I don't know where it came from, but it did. We all have those moments, and that's when we need to pause. So that's what this is. It's called the power of the pause. When we have the circle of influence come into our lives. Come into our lives. Whew. This is rough. Not too long ago, I had a moment. I had a moment with a friend of mine, and we were, again, in my circle, that we were just talking about life and intention and who we are and what we are and how we aim to make the world a better place and stay in our fire zone, if you will, and in our why. in the why place based on our vision and what we want and how we serve and give and put a smile on God's face and then and all that good stuff. And he said, think on this, man. Did you know that this? Have you ever heard yourself say this? Do you know where pride comes on in? Do you know where the ego and pride and lack of humility comes on in? And then it comes in when this happens or when you say this and I heard you say that and I'm like, all right. I said, cool. I didn't. Again, those that are in your circle want the best for you, and I'm going to say this: shut up. Allow them to speak. Allow them to come into your life. Digest it. You don't have to own everything that they're saying, but if they're seeing it in their own different lens and wanting the best for you. That's the key. Just like a parent, you want the best for your child? True friends, especially Christ-driven friends that have Christ in the center, want the best for you. So this person did. And it put me in check. And then I had to call another person and have the similar conversation. And they too put me in check. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, am I really doing that? I must be. Because I only know what I know until somebody gives me a different perspective of what that is. And now what happens? Either you go, no, didn't happen, not me, you're wrong, or, OMG, I can't believe I'm doing that. Not only forgive me, but I have to forgive myself. But how do I do that? How do you do that? We all have been in this place. But how do you do that? How do you forgive yourself for maybe hurting yourself, hurting others, thinking less than, making others feel less than, so your ego and your pride feels good? You could do that with money. I see a lot of people do that with money. Make a lot of money and throw it in people's faces, especially online. And see that? It's so much easier online because I don't have to confront anything. I can just be in my own bubble and just show off. I know that world. I get that world. And I see the world to where ego comes in play. I was an ass growing up. Insecure kind of kiddo, center of attention. Got voted like first, second, third best dancer in the school in high school, and got voted class clown and goofball, was everybody's friend. Everybody knew Eddie. I was fun to be around, and I did a lot of stuff, but I was also an ass in many different ways. Controlling, and didn't have an ounce of God in my life. I didn't. And so when I mean none, I mean none. It was all me. It was all ego. It was all what I can do. And again, when you have the friends that put you in check and make you wonder, what am I doing with myself or my life? You have to pause and just digest this for me. Pause. Stop. I sent a text out to a group of friends not too long ago, and actually just this past week, and I said, do you understand the only way to hear music? The only way to hear music is the pause, as small as it might be, between the notes. If not, it would just be chaos. There needs to be a pause so you can digest the note. It's the absolute truth. We're in that time frame of that thing called the clock that is ticking away right now as we speak. How much pause are you taking? When do you stop that human doing and start being that human being and pause in that space? And when you pause in that space, reflect, digest, look around, see what's going on in your life, but then ask God in your life, peel these layers from me of who I am and what I'm about. If God knows everything, and boy, I believe God does, and if God knows everything, where are you pausing to ask God in your life? When do you just go, not right now, world? Yes, right now, God? See, it's not a religious thing. It's an absolute relationship thing. And when you have that relationship, you can begin to pause and then reflect and step outside of yourself. When you ask God in your life, you totally step outside of yourself. And you say, show me, Father, show me. And then things are revealed to you, and you're like, whew, and it'll break you. And it broke me. It broke me. Couldn't feel my arms and legs. I started shaking. I collapsed on my living room floor. This happened to me not too long ago. And I was swimming in a moat of tears as I felt on my own island, stuck there in disgust. Really, it's the best word, disgust. Some of the things, some of my actions that I have said or done to certain special people in my life over the past few years. See, what had happened is, again, that ass controlling kid, that 18, 19, 20-year-old, that was such a stooge. And way back in the day, there were some things. I remember going to my 10-year high school reunion, and there was a woman there, and we had a moment, and she was still feeling pain from stuff that I have caused her emotionally in high school 12 years later. It was sophomore year, 12 years later. And I so did not mean to hurt her. She's such good people. She's still good people. We're friends on, Facebook. And so I talked to her at this high school reunion, and I had no idea how much I've hurt her. And then I sat down the following day and now I was like, much older. What was I? 1, 2, 3, 12, 29-ish, 28-ish, somewhere in there. And I wrote a list. I remember that person saying that to them. Oh, I remember saying that to her. I remember saying that to that group. I remember doing this, making others feel less than or something derogatory, just something not good that came out of this stupid tongue. And I said, oh my gosh, 17 names were written down on there. 17 different names, male and female, and groups. And I decided to start writing letters to them, explaining who I am today and apologizing for that moron in the yesterday. I had to do that, and it was freeing. Some people I did hear back from. I left my contact information. Some people I did hear back from, and I've said, I've been waiting years, Eddie, for this. Wow. Okay. I had no idea, but I did. God revealed that. And again, I didn't have God in my life then. It's amazing how God still shows up when you don't feel like you have any God in your life because you're too proud. And then when you realize that when you truly have a relationship, you realize how God has been intervening the entire time. How that Spirit just talks to you. We'll do that on another podcast. And so I just go, okay, am I doing that again? In my 50s, am I doing that again? And I was. And I wasn't doing it to anybody else but me. I was tooting my own horn again. And not in the process of making people feel less than, but in a weird way it was. History repeated a little bit. And it crushed me. So as I'm laying on my living room floor, tears flying, remember. I am not good. I am wrecked. And I'm laying on my living room floor by myself at home. Dogs on the couch staring at me like, what is wrong with this guy? And I am bawling. Truly. Where, God shows up and starts peeling layers. Oh, there were no layers. It went pull off all the layers, and there's the seed of who you are. There's the core. And it was raw, and it was uncomfortable, and it was absolutely real. And 7 different names came to my head that were given to me. I didn't think of these. I said, God, go, God, go, God, go. For hours I was there. But for about the initial, when it started, the tears started, I was in the process of writing a letter to my wife. And I was writing a letter because she was the first one that hit me to where I was making her less than, something that she wasn't. Yeah. Not good. And so I was writing her a letter. I was 3 pages into this letter. Tears are covering the pages, and a friend called. I don't know why. I picked up the phone. Well, I do know why. That's how God works. I picked up the phone, and he and I were speaking. And he just, like, do you understand what's going on in you right now, man? This is such a big deal, such a good deal. It's a big thing and a great thing for you, Eddie. And it was awful feeling. It's kind of like working out in the beginning and it hurts and it's sore, or going through counseling in the beginning and you're peeling stuff off and it's awful and yuck and tasting icky. That's what this was. And it was a transformation. I was absolutely growing out of my caterpillar skin, getting ready to show my wings on this butterfly and fly. And what did that mean? I didn't know, but I was ready. Use me. I was ready. And as uncomfortable as it was, as hard as it was to make those 7 phone calls, and there were no messages. All of them picked up the phone. Yeah. There was no need for a letter, text, email, voicemail. It was live, and it was real, and it was raw, and I asked nothing from them in return. I was on the phone, gasping, literally, crying. I mean, it was rough. And I said, I need you to say nothing. And I took ownership of the relationship and stuff that I have done in that relationship. And I get off the phone, and one of them said to me, I've been waiting 4 years for that phone call. Again, ruined me even further, as you can imagine. And so with that, I was just like, thank you. And I felt so free. I feel free now. I still feel, I catch myself, starting conversations and people are talking and I want to put my story into it a little bit when it's all about them. Do we do that? You're darn right we do that. Who does that? We all do that. And we all do that and find ourselves, making somebody less than versus really owning who they are. Trust me, I am that one. And this is why when I talk with people and I'm just going, Eddie, chew that tongue, man. Say nothing and be a listener. As they always say, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. There's a reason for that. Do more listening than speaking. God does. And so when God speaks, boy, it's in your mug, isn't it? Sure it is. And so I want you to think about the day right now. I don't care when you're listening to this. I don't care if you're in the car driving, at home before you go to sleep. I don't care what you're doing. It doesn't matter. If you're at the gym, it doesn't matter. I want you to think right now, when can you take that pause? It doesn't matter how long it is. You'll know. When you just take a deep breath in, just kind of, and ask God, Father, speak to me. Use me. Reveal to me. Show me. I want to be in your shadow. I want you to illuminate my path with whatever and wherever that path is. And I am ready and I'm willing. And I want you in my life. And by doing so, you start to see different things happen. Like, wow, this is interesting. You see different people come into your life. And then you see pain come into your life. And then when that pain comes into your life, are you supposed to numb it? Or are you supposed to recognize it and deal with it? It's the problem I have with medication, is that when the body gives you pain, it's telling you something's wrong, deal with it. Most of us just numb it. How do we numb it? With a drug? With some sort of recreational drug? Alcohol? It doesn't matter. We numb it with something, an activity. We numb it versus address it. So address it. Address it with the pause. That's how you do that. Stop, pause, and pray. And when in that prayer, hear me out, especially in the religious world, but hear me out right now. When you have a relationship with God, stop telling God what God already knows. God, you know my finances are bad. God, you know my relationship's struggling. God, you know my work is awful. God, you know my children are, God, you know my car. God, you know. God knows. So start telling your problem how big your God is, your Father is. Brag on it. I remember in 2003, I was having an issue financially. I was getting sued. It's a long story. Credit card consolidation company. I got scammed for $15,000. It's another story. And so I'm frustrated. I'm beyond frustrated. I'm just starting to have my new relationship with God. Because 2001, Cinco de Mayo, is when, for some reason, it's Cinco de Mayo, I asked God in my life. And not until 2003 when I start really appreciating that relationship. Because as a baby Christian, what does that mean? And I took my wallet. I actually used my checkbook I had at the time. Now we don't have checkbook. I had a checkbook at the time. And I slammed it on the floor. I'm like, yeah? And I was hot. I was not good. I was saying some not so cool words to God. And then it hit me. Oh, the Spirit spoke to me. It says, why are you telling me what I already know, Eddie? Why are you telling me already? Why don't you tell your problem how big I am? And it hit me. It brought me to my knees. And I'm screaming on the floor at my checkbook. My God, and I start bragging about all the awesome things that God does to our life. Do that. Start finding things that are awesome in your life. Because there's no doubt somebody is praying for your problems. Somebody's like, man, I'd love their life. You should see my life. I always think all these different things that are going on in my life, even as we speak, a lot of different stuff. We all have our stuff. And we're going to leave here without it. But we need to leave here with one thing, a relationship with Him. That's how we get to hang out. That's how this works. So I beg of you today that you stop all the minutia, all the human doing things, and find some time today to go, I got this, I got this, I got this, and I do not have it without you, and I'm going to pause, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to be that human being and serve how you want me to serve, because I want to put a smile on your face. That's all you need to do. And when you do, I promise you, you start to see yesterday's pain stay in yesterday, and tomorrow's pleasure showing up when you can just be present and be that gift for people by serving, by adding with the gifts God's given you. That's why we're here. Until then, think good things. Enjoy that pause, I beg of you. Have a great day.